let's turn our attention to the sport of banking, because apparently, you know, it is just up to banks to decide who they can give accounts to, who they can take them away from, as we discovered when Nigel Farage went public with the fact that Coutts had told him, no, you can't keep your business account or your personal account with us anymore, but wouldn't tell him why. It's about repeated attempts. And then we found out what the reason was. We found out via Dame Alison Rose, the chief executive of NatWest, basically the parent company of Coutts Bank, sitting next to a BBC journalist at a dinner and telling him, well, basically it's because he hasn't got enough money. That was published everywhere. Well, it turns out that wasn't the reason why his account was closed. It was for political reasons. They didn't like his views on things. He's not the only one. We've now seen tens of thousands of people who've not been able to get accounts or had them closed in similar circumstances from many different banks. Not surprisingly, when this all emerged, Dame Alison Rose was forced to resign in disgrace. Now we discover, though, not so much disgrace, because she's been going to get a £2.4 million payout in salary, shares and pensions this year. And over the next few years, in bonuses and stocks, it's going to be worth more than £11 million. Let's talk about this with Towler, former advisor to Nigel Farage. Good morning to you, Gawain.
Good morning, Julia.
Thank you very much for joining us. I mean, rewards for failure is a phrase that's overused, but my God, the woman failed and she's getting a reward.
Well, I was thinking you were talking about it being sport. It's not a sport if one side always wins, is it?
That's true.
And, I mean, frankly, if at the time that it came out and she was forced to resign, after the board had backed her only a few hours earlier, remember, and she was forced to resign, I could have given you evens on her getting a massive payout.
Yeah.
We know she was going to win whatever happened.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at it, she has been successful. This year, 142 branches of NatWest are closing. That saves them a huge amount of money. You know, over 16,000 per branch is going into her payoff. You look at the way that the results came out yesterday. NatWest have done well, but actually they're a boat floating on a rising tide. Banking profits across the sector are doing well. She's not standout. She's just rising that tide. And how did they rise that tide? They didn't pass on the interest rates to their savers while taking it out of mortgages, taking it out of people with loans. So,
I mean, frankly, if you can't make money running a bank, then you're not very good at business at all, are you?
If this is good banking practice, closing down your own employers, sacking your own employees and taking the money out of people during a financial crisis, making it harder for ordinary people to live, this is what Howard Davis and the board, who must have agreed this, given after all they didn't want to sack her in the first place, who must have agreed this, if this is what they think is success in banking, good Lord.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, and I'm sure an awful lot of our audience feel the same way. And as you point out, Howard Davis used to be head of the Financial Conduct Authority. I mean, this is the mind-blowing thing.
The concept of conduct is interesting,
indeed.
Isn't it?
Well, that's it. But, you know, they as you say, they backed him. It was only when we understand behind the scenes government ministers went, not going to happen. She's going to have to go, bearing in mind the government, we, the taxpayers, own 38% of the shares in that bank still after bailing them out back in the banking crisis. But the fact that board said they thought she'd done nothing wrong and she should stay, I've always been of the view that, you know, they themselves should go, because she was clearly breached the banking licence. She breached confidentiality, totally inappropriate. The political actions of getting rid of Nigel Farage's account alone should have been a sacking offence. They think what she did was all right, and they're willing to pay out to that and basically, you know, keep all the money, love, even though it's gross misconduct what you did. Keep all the money in your contract, that's fine, to go quietly. They are themselves also unfit to be involved in running a bank.
It does feel that way, certainly. The only reason that they even moved in the direction of removing her was that pressure from us, the largest shareholder. Can anybody be surprised? We know how that elite work. We've always known how that elite work. They protect themselves.
Yeah.
It is a group of friends employing friends, promoting friends, defending friends, backing friends, and the only people who lose are the ordinary taxpayer, the ordinary account holder.
Yeah, that is what we keep seeing, and the fact that they feel that they can, you know, brazen this out. They've got an inquiry, they've got an internal. Well, I think they called in someone external who obviously will already been approved to do this.
How long does your grass want to be?
Well, exactly. They're going to kick that into the long grass and then hope everyone's forgotten about it. I mean, I don't think we are going to forget about it, Gawain.
I don't think so, and I think that the fact that I think it was very funny in the report when they said, well, you know what, Farage, yeah, he could cause a fuss, but frankly, you know, he's probably going to be embarrassed and won't go on about it. Have they ever met Nigel Farage? Have they ever read any stories about Nigel Farage? Oh, this is the most preposterous proposal. I mean, whoever these people are, and we know who these people are, the person who provide this advice, they're also providing advice to number 10, you know, on how they can be right.
That is a very, very good point. Gawain Towler, really appreciate you joining us, former advisor to Nigel Farage.